welcome to Delphi Labs. My name is Pawel and today I would like to demonstrate testing DataSnap servers in Delphi Data Explorer. I'm going to start from just a standard DataSnap server wizard, so this will create for us a standalone DataSnap server application. I'm going to stick with a default VCL Forms application as my application type. I'm going to add to the default TCP/IP also the HTTP protocol. So in this scenario our server application is going to listen on both TCP/IP and HTTP protocols. I'm not going to select authentication nor authorization, and I would like the wizard to generate sample methods. On the next screen I'm going to test if ports to be used by my TCP/IP and HTTP components are open. They are both open, so I can proceed. I'm going to keep T component as a base class of my server methods class. Okay, wizard has generated an application for me, so it's a good idea to save it. To start with, I'm going to go into my already existing testing server in Data Explorer directory, and I'm going to call my main unit of my application form server unit, and I'm going to keep a default names server container unit and server methods unit for other units generated by the wizard. My application is going to be called testing server 1, so that's my name of the project. Okay, so currently my application is already created. Maybe I just testing DataSnap server as the name, as the caption on the form. So what has the wizard generated for us? So first of all, we have a server methods unit with just a standard two sample methods. One is echo string that takes just a string value and returns the same string value, and second is reverse string. So this is another method generated by the wizard that takes the string and returns the reverse string. So I'm going to change a little bit. So if this is going to be an enterprise strength echo implementation, I'm going to add actually a little bit more here. So the proper echo should be actually replying at least twice, or maybe even 3 times of the parameter passed. So I'm going to just modify this so we have a little bit of change. So this is my custom implementation. So I have my echo string method is now just returning a string echoing and returns the value provided to it 2 times. So this is going to be my method that I'm going to test. So that's the functionality provided by the server echo string. On the server container unit, this time we can see that there are now some changes here as compared to previous examples. So my DS server component is something that is the heart of the implementation of the server. For every server application I just need one DS server component and possibly a number of server classes. So I'm going just to keep the one default server class that is already there, and there are 2 or more, at least one transport component. So these 2 components, this component DC TCP server transport represents a connectivity on port 211, is connected to my server component, and this other component HTTP service 1 represents connectivity on port 8080, and it's also connected to my server component. If I want my application to listen on additional ports, I can just add additional components here. So for example, I could actually go ahead and say I want to add this DSTCP server transport component, and this second transport component can be connected to the server, and it cannot be using the same transport, so I'm going to go for the port 212. So now we have our server application that listens on 2 different TCP/IP ports. One is 211, one is 212, and one HTTP port 8080. So now if I just run and compile my application is going to listen on incoming connections. So far I've been building clients to test the functionality of the server, but in fact I don't have to build a client in order to test the functionality. I can go ahead and select the Data Explorer tab inside of the IDE, and in the list of the DB Express drivers I see there is also a DataSnap node here. So basically the connectivity to DataSnap servers, standalone servers, is implemented by extending the DBX4 DB Express driver architecture introduced in Delphi 2007. So in Delphi 2009 we have seen that the connectivity to DataSnap servers has been implemented using the same framework as connectivity to databases. So from the perspective of the client application, talking to the server looks very much like talking to a database. So there is a special DataSnap driver that basically looks from the client perspective like a database. I can actually add a number of connections here. So I'm going to have my test TCP 211. So this is my first way of connecting to my database. I'm going to also add additional connections. These connections are different ways to talk to my server. So I have two TCP connections, and I can also add a new connection called test HTTP and 8080. So these are the different ports. Now, before I can actually use them, I have to configure them. So this is my test TCP IP. I have to select my TCP IP as a protocol. This is a local server, so the IP address is this, and I can go ahead and say test connection. I'm going to do the same thing for the other nodes here. So I'm going to use this TCP IP, but this time it's port 212. Instead of using the IP address, I can just say localhost, click on test connection, and I should see that connection is successful. And the last one to modify is HTTP port. So I'm going to use HTTP localhost, and the port is going to be 8080. Okay, so test connection, and now I can see that in fact to just one server I can use a number of communication protocols, and also, for example, in the case of TCP IP, my server application can listen on multiple ports. So let's open this node and see that if I try to open tables node, I will get an error because it does not make sense to see tables inside the DataSnap server. Also, the views will provide a similar error, but all the functionality provided by the DataSnap server is visible very much like stored procedures. So calling server methods from clients looks very much like connecting to a DB Express database and just calling server stored procedures on the server. So notice there is a big list of different server methods already. I see my two methods at the bottom of the list that are implemented by the server. So these other methods are actually provided by the two built-in server methods that are part of every DataSnap server application. I see there is a DSAdmin server class that provides different administration related functionality, and DS metadata that provides a metadata information about the capabilities of my DataSnap server. I'm going to actually right click on echo string C view parameters, and I should be able to actually provide a value, so maybe Delphi, and I can just execute this, and my server is returning the following value, echoing Delphi 3 dots Delphi. So that's exactly what I was expecting. I can actually go ahead and see if the same situation will be for my HTTP connection. So I'm going to open the procedures. I see exactly the same list of procedures and I can this time maybe test a reverse string just to see a little difference. So I'm going to specify Delphi and execute the stored procedure or server method, and see I can see my Delphi string reversed. So that's very easy to test servers inside Delphi. Data Explorer, we can use different types of servers. So for this demonstration I just use a Delphi standalone VCL Forms DataSnap server, but this could be also a DataSnap server implemented in C++, or possibly a DataSnap server hosted inside a web application. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Delphi Labs.